Okay, I am really happy to be able to talk about the 2013-14 season for so many reasons. The first thing that I want to tell you is that I'm going to talk about Single Girls Guide for just a second, because it has to do with the 13-14 season, and that is this. This really is a production that was made possible because of our collaboration with Proctor's. Without having the resources that Proctor's was able to supply, we would never have been able to go to New York and do the workshops that were necessary with Single Girls Guide. And it's a 2-year project in the making, and so the fact that it's on the stage in a world premiere with this incredible team of artists that we have living in Albany is amazing. And everybody should be very proud of that. Not every theater can do it, certainly not a Lord D theater, which is the baby in Lord. And so I'm really proud of this, and I want this out in the community, that this is the kind of stuff that we see being the first step toward producing more, to working together, to being more exciting programmatically. Because whatever goes in our building, what we're really all about is what is on our stages and in our education facilities and what we do. And so it really has made a tremendous difference to partner with Proctor's on something like Single Girls Guide. There are many theaters that have expressed interest in Single Girls Guide, but at this point we don't know if it's going to move somewhere or ultimately they'll go back into development and then it will go somewhere. But with this team of Gordon and Tommy, I have no doubt that we will see Single Girls Guide in more places than just the Capitol Rep stage. Okay, 2013. The exciting thing about 2013 is we're going to do 2 world premieres and a bunch of regional premieres. It's a very exciting season, and yes, it has a TBA in it. We're going to start the summer with a world premiere musical by a woman named Lori Fisher. Lori Fisher is a singer, songwriter, country musician that wrote a musical called Barbara's Blue Kitchen. Now, you won't know that probably in your world, but Barbara's Blue Kitchen ran for a year in New York in an off-Broadway theater. And it started at Adirondack Theater Festival. This was in the year 2000. Now she's come back and she's written the Sparkly Clean Funeral Singers, and that is going to be our world premiere. It's a very funny show. It's about 2 sisters who are taking care of their aging father who has early Alzheimer's, and they are running the failing Sparkly, Mississippi dry cleaning store. And they decide, because they're singers, that they will get together and form a duo and sing songs at the local funerals. And they will write them especially so that everybody gets a great personal send-off. It's very funny. One of the girls is out of rehab, but not really. She's kind of like the Lindsay Lohan of the musical. And, you know, it's about their relationship and how they, you know, weather the storm with their father and reconcile the family now that it's together in this way, singing these silly songs at funerals. It'll be a lot of fun. It's country music. Our subscription base loves country music. And there's a big group of people in the Capital Region that love it too, and we absolutely will get to them. In the fall, we are going to do something very opposite, a very adult play called Venus in Fur. This is the S&M play that ran on Broadway. And, you know, it's about this absolutely dynamic person who comes into an audition very late in the day to audition for a very arrogant playwright. And you think that she's a very low-class person from Brooklyn who really doesn't know the first thing about auditioning or theater. And it turns out that she is not at all who she appears to be. Let me put it that way. And the 2 of them have this, I really love this word, sexual rondelay. And it is that. They change, well, let me put it this way. This very macho guy ends up wearing a dress by the end of it, okay? So, and she wears very high boots and a corset made of leather at one point in it. So it's titillating. It's not an easy play to direct or produce, but I think in the intimate setting of Capitol Rep, it will leave people breathless, we hope. And we don't want the kiddies coming to this one, all right? And then in our holiday slot is something we do want the kiddies coming to, and that is a brand new version of Christmas Carol. Now, I want to say this again, here's our partnership at work. You know, Proctor's does a very successful tour of A Christmas Carol. But when we found out that the guy who adapted 39 Steps, Patrick Barber, did a production, a new adaptation of A Christmas Carol, and we were, you know, pretty thrilled to find it out from Kevin McGuire, who told us about it, and then we tracked it down and followed it and got the script, and we liked it. But how can we do A Christmas Carol at Proctor's and at Capitol Rep? That would be foolish. And so Philip decided not to program it at Proctor's. So I'm here to tell you that a lot of times people really don't think that we have a partnership, but we do have a partnership. And we are working together to make sure that our programming is now starting to match and collaborate and complement one another. And this is a very important message that I hope we can get out there through our PR, through the box office, you know. So when people say to the box office, well, you know, Capitol Rep, they never did that. They were always really nice. That's just, you know, hooey. So, you know. So you can start owning everything, because I own the box office. I talk about us. I talk about, you know, Judy Bouchard is our box office manager, and Jill. And so I hope that you will be able to see now that the programming will follow along those tracks as well. All right, then in January, we're going to do a regional premiere called The Mountaintop. Now, this was also on Broadway. It starred Samuel Jackson and Angela Bassett. And this is the play about Martin Luther King's last night on Earth. It has a big surprise in it, in that, you know, Martin Luther King is there. It is not the portrayal of the ideal God-like idol that is out in, you know, perhaps third grade history books. It's the portrait of a man, and he is flawed, and he likes women, and he likes to smoke, and he says curse words a little bit. But it also is about his dreams and his ideals and what he was trying to do. Into the last night of his life comes this very feisty, very unpredictable hotel maid who turns out kind of like Venus and Fur. It's kind of like the surprise season, isn't it? That she is not at all who she seems to be. And she is instrumental at the moment of his death. And we see who she really is. So it's a very interesting. Awesome. It's a very interesting play. It has to be very creatively done, and I'm really looking forward to having, you know, really knockout performances in that. That will hover between January and February. We tried to knock it into the Black History Month slot as much as we could, so half of it falls in February, so we can pick up some of our student audiences before winter break. Then TBA, talk about that in a minute. We want to do a musical with a Broadway title. All right, so we'll wait. So Philip can help me out with that one. And then we're going to end the season with another world premiere. Again, made possible because of our partnership in our Next Act Play Festival last year. We did a staged reading of The God Game. It was the hit of the festival, and so we are doing the world premiere. Now, we're going to be doing a rolling world premiere in a co-production of The God Game with a theater down in Florida. We're working out the details right now. But I'm excited about that because this play is going to get on the map. This play is going to get done. It's the story of a moderate Republican politician who is tapped to be a vice presidential running mate for a very conservative Christian presidential candidate. And the moderate is asked just to do one thing by the campaign in order to be able to be the VP nominee, and that is to just talk a little more Christian on the campaign trail. The only problem is he's an agnostic, he believes in global warming, and he doesn't believe that religion is a public matter, he believes it's a private matter. And so the dialogue in this play is about, will he compromise? Will he turn over his, personal beliefs to be able to get the job? So at any rate, so those are the plays, and before we talk about our TBA, I would also like to add that in November we are doing our Next Act 2 Play Festival, and it will be something that is split between Proctor's and Capitol Rep once again. And we will, the process for that is quite involved. It will start in May with reading. Last year we read 120 plays to get to the 3 that we chose. And we have a reading circle that helped us do that, and a lot of experts from the community who helped us ultimately pick the 3 that we did. We'll be doing that same thing, backing up the process a little because we were sort of overwhelmed. And so we're really looking forward to that. So that's 3 days in November, and 2 of the days will be here in the GE, and then the other day will be at Capitol Rep with probably the musical that we do, because the plays are things that we do here because we have a grant to do that. So, at any rate, ta-da-da-da-da-da, the TBA is the TBA. It's still a TBA.
TBA is still a TBA.
But we should talk about what it is.
We're working on Chicago.
Yeah.
We've been working on it for a long time.
Yeah.
It's still on the road. Because it's on the road, the company would rather do one night here than a run at Cap Rep. And I'm like, that's goofy. So we're working on it.
Yeah, I think the thing that in our world of LORT theaters, that, you know, the big fish always swallows the littler fish. And in some worlds, Capitol Rep is the big fish. You know, to Laura Margolis at Stageworks, if I do Venus in Fur, which she wanted the rights to, and I had already reserved those rights, she called me to say, please release that, because I want to do it. And I went, no, we're doing it, you know. But we're a bigger fish. Just like to Capitol Rep, Proctors and the road companies are bigger fish. Any community theater right now could get Chicago. Anyone in the capital region. They would gladly throw it out there to Schenectady Civic or Circle Players or whatever. They could get the rights. But a professional company's rights go into the big fish, little fish scenario. And so if the tour producers will not allow the LORT Theater to do Chicago, we will choose something else. And we have a short list, but I won't worry you with that. I will just say that we're working on it every single day, and we will have a title before we have to go to print with our major brochure. And that's something that Philip and I are committed to. Anyway, questions?
Questions?
I just want to say thank you, because every time you talk about the plays and the plot lines, it helps me so much, and it excites me, and you deliver it really well. So
Oh, thanks, Lisa. I
it's
appreciate
really
it.
comprehensive, and it works.
Well, you know, I am a big believer in our working together. Everything that's on that list is something that I support, and sometimes I get really busy and I can't get over here to tell you guys how much I appreciate everything that we do together. But when we work together, that's when I'm at my absolute happiness. And when we have glitches or, you know, I send email out. The one thing I want to say about email, because we do so much email, especially to marketing, is that I have discovered that just because you send an email doesn't mean that the email is received or read. And so I'm very, very glad that we are looking at that, because I think it screws us up and it makes it seem like our communication is not hostile, but apathetic or whatever. So I am really looking forward to, you know, solving that, because we do have this distance between us. So the better the communication, the better I like it. You call me anytime, and I'll rev you up on those plots. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Maggie. 8 more minutes. Questions?